Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So here we see something quite peculiar from Nick Fuentes, which is his statement that he thinks Jeffrey Epstein was cool. Just really admiring the pimp nature of Epstein himself. Now, what's quite sad is we don't really have the full details yet, and probably never will, on the extensive crimes committed by Jeffrey. Now, what is even deeply, well, it's deeply concerning, essentially, is America's obsession with pimps. When you look at Snoop Dogg, his PIMP culture, 50 Cent, P. Diddy, you know, Hugh Hefner, you're like, how can America call itself a Christian nation when it obsesses over raw degeneracy? Nick prides himself on being a Christian. He prides himself on being a virgin. Says he's holding out until he gets married. And a lot of the frogs, the groypers, they make fun of OnlyFans chicks. So it's very peculiar that somebody who is leading Christian men would admire someone, or at least say any soft word of admiration about a abhorrent individual such as Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Nick, he is friends with Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is also a pimp pornographer, and so it's not too surprising that Tate's immorality has rubbed off on Nick, and that is the potency that a pimp has on the men around him, is that he's able to kind of dominate them. And you begin to see how dangerous pimps are for young men. Some of those men even get turned out by the pimp. And that phrase means the pimp, basically P. Diddy's the younger male. Remember, it wasn't like Jeffrey Epstein was promoting marriage, like making sure 16, 17-year-olds get married. No, these were for recreation only. And in Islam, zina, illegal sexual intercourse, is abhorrent. It's not good. Okay? And Epstein helped adultery happen, meaning he helped married men and married women to cheat on their spouse. Islam does not tolerate adultery. Okay. Now, Islam is quite merciful because it allows men to have 4 wives that they have to treat justly. And this allows a man who is able to attract and maintain and sort of, how should we put it, qualifies for that type of arrangement where you have 4 wives, they like him, he likes them, they get along, they submit, he leads. Great. Lots of children, you know, all that good stuff. Islam understands male nature and guides it towards marriage. Epstein didn't guide people towards marriage. Okay, best buddies with Trump. Trump cheated on his wives. He slept with porno chicks. His beauty pageant girls, he's noted to have walked in while they're dressing. He's really gross in that regard, and he has zero shame in that. And one of the most famous quotes attributed to him is his grab him by the P-U-S-S-Y, and that he doesn't even wait, and that the women let him do it. So he just goes and grabs their crotches and, locker room talk. And that attitude is what got him in rap songs and is what made him kind of a rap icon before he became president, that is. He was associated with money, hedonism, high rolling, and supermodels. And Melania, she's done lewd photography, so she's not some chaste woman. She's, a highly paid escort type, I'd argue, even though she dresses pretty well and she has, she looks great for her age. The point is that whether it's Trump, Epstein, P. Diddy, 50 Cent. Now, I grew up listening to 50 Cent. I don't listen to music anymore, but, he's able to get groupies and do all that stuff. And so, it's not a secret. So, I don't think 50 Cent would mind being called a pimp because they don't find that necessarily derogatory. My point, though, is that if you're a Christian, you can't admire the pimp. Let us not forget that a pimp breaks women psychologically, and it's hard for them to remarry or even get married, and they have a lot of mental baggage that drives them to use drugs, to drink excessively, and they make poor mothers. Very few of those women escaped unscathed, and they become old feminists of the most bitter fashion. So when those women are like 18, 19, they're enjoying their ride on the carousel, making money, but then when they age out of that, when they're hitting 40 and they can't get as much plastic surgery as J-Lo, they start to really resent men's nature, and they then feed that venom into the younger women. And then the younger women, well, they think, oh, well, this woman, she got to be around those wealthy men, high rollers, ballers, all that, and she's got a lot of wisdom, so we should listen to her. Then she becomes this sort of nefarious figure in the lives of women. So if you wanted to defeat feminism, you would want to destroy individuals like Jeffrey Epstein because of the type of women they produce over time. And women especially should fight against individuals like Jeffrey Epstein, if they're religious, that is, because they create bait that ruins your marriage. So they encourage women to be available for your husband to cheat on you. It takes two to tango. The man's to blame, but the woman is also to blame. If he pursued, he's sinful, but if the woman says yes, she's also sinful. Both are wrong. Okay? But individuals like Epstein create the opportunity, the buffet, the smorgasbord, the decadent experiences for the customers. Okay? It's more common for people like him to cater to the male appetite than the female appetite. Right? They're not having a bunch of gigolos. They offer gay men and they offer women to their clientele, which is majority male customers. And this is a problem. It's not good for society to have that. So why is someone who is pushing Christian nationalism and white supremacy advocating in any shape and form for an individual who got plenty of white girls to be turned for the streets, right? Aren't a lot of Western men complaining about the quality of Western women? Well, Epstein helped to ruin Western women and white women. So wouldn't that be the opponent of Fuentes? Wouldn't that be somebody who he would wage war against and would find as a villain, an arch nemesis? So this is all quite strange when you examine Nick's rhetoric in the past, and this is not something that will help families stay together, right? A lot of escorts whose birth control fail, they also do abortion. So if you're against abortion, you can't like someone like Epstein because he produces abortions, as in he tells women to do this job, they agree, and then one of them gets pregnant by a customer. Well, she's got to go yeetus the fetus, as they say, and get back to work as soon as possible. Alright, so this is not good. Islam is the right mode for America, and I'd argue gets rid of the power of these Epstein types, is, because Islam helps men to lower their gaze. We have Prophet Yusuf, may Allah be pleased with him, who give us plenty of great examples on male morality and the dangers of women. And it also helps women to keep their beauty and adornment only for their husbands. So the Islamic ethos ruins businesses like Epstein's. And so I really truly hope that Nick will be guided to Islam, and that people will see how bizarre this rhetoric is and how that doesn't help America. And Christians should be very cautious, of individuals such as Nick who are softening your hatred towards the pimp, especially if you have a daughters who you're trying to raise to be pious. Young men can't complain about the quality of women and then turn around and say Epstein was cool as F. Why? Because he was the master of whores? Why should society value the master of whores? Why should we value the one who works for Shaitan? Think about it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and join the blog.